Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 12th of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is making decent progress towards our hope for target there, 9,500 now by the end of next month, hopefully even by the end of this month. We've broken through recent resistance. I suppose the 92.50 zone was one area, but very strong price action yesterday, opening at the low, closing at the high. And looking at 9,500, presumably this is a bit of a read across from the US rate cut hopes. And looking for 9,500 while we're above the floor of the channel there, 91.75. RSI is still at 65, so still away from the overbought area. And I suppose we're just now looking for a break of the record level, 93.57, on an end of day close basis to give us 9,500 by the end of this month. The DAX is next, and here we're still at the floor of the rising trend channel there. I suppose it should be rather shorter in the time frame than I've got there, so that's probably just from back in April. But the message is still there. Rising trend channel from April and above the floor of the channel there around current levels. We're still looking for the top there as high as 25,800 by the end of next month. There are a couple of triggers that we're missing. One would be an end of day close for the RSI above neutral 50, but still fading there. So that is a worry and a possible trigger, or could be a possible trigger for a move down to 23,000. Otherwise, a momentum trigger would be an end of day close above the 50-day moving average at 24,000 to get us our target towards 26,000. Onto the Dow, and that's in a different and perhaps better place at the moment. You can see that we're edging towards the top of the channel there, rising trend channel that we've had since the spring of last year. Top of the channel there, heading for 47,500. We were looking for that by the end of next month, the way things are going. Well, I should get that by the end of this month. That's set on the basis that we've had now four RSI 50 plus rebounds since the middle of last month, which is a very strong leading indicator on the upside. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you that. You can see the market's already very strong on presumably rate cut hopes. On the downside, if there is a rug pull, or it's better to travel than arrive, then the 50-day line there, 44,700, the potential rug pull area for this market. Moving on to the cryptos, and the first one is Bitcoin as usual. Here we managed to edge through the 50-day line, not very convincingly, but we have edged through that around 115. Above that, looking for obviously a retest of the best levels of 124. Best case by the end of next month would be the top of that channel there from February, as high as 132, 132,000. Ideally now we have a weekly close above the 50-day line, and we stay above the RSI 50 level ahead of moves towards the 120s and 130s. Worst case at the moment is the floor of the channel there around 108, and not expecting anything worse than that for this market. If Bitcoin is looking good, one would assume that Ethereum might look even better, and at the moment it certainly does. Here we were looking for an end of day close above 4,500, which was the simple momentum buy trigger. Above that, looking for 5,500, perhaps as soon as the end of this month, but we had allowed for the end of next month. Extended RSI rebounds at and around the neutral 50 level, so this looks like a very strong market. And we would class it as remaining very strong while we're above the floor of the channel there, 43.20, and the 50-day line there, 42.08. If there is any rug pull towards that 50-day line, one would enjoy that as a potential entry situation. Onto gold, and here we were hoping that this market would stay above 3,600, and so far it's done that. The line in the sand at the moment is the old resistance that we had back in April, 35.11. Above that, looking for 3,800, perhaps as soon as the end of this month. In fact, top of that channel now heading up to 38.45, which could be the best case scenario target for the end of this month, although perhaps more realistically the end of October. Onto the stocks, and starting off with ATOME, which has come up with a very good announcement today. In fact, the fact that we're already up 16% is rather disappointing. I think the offtake deal, a very big one indeed, and the deal a very big one indeed, but really the market's just scratching its head trying to work out how come the company got so lucky so quickly, or so lucky in such a big way, rather. Here we had our initial target there around 70 pence. Above that, obviously looking for the highs of the past year as high as 86 pence. Perhaps from a technical perspective, might even want a little bit more than that, or look for a little bit more than that, up to a pound by the end of next month. It may be the best case scenario, but obviously we need proper push through 70 pence in order to get that. Ideally, we stay above recent broken resistance at 53 pence. Whatever happens, at least the 50-day line at 50 pence, a decent trading stop loss. On to ACG Metals, which has been the strong silent type here. We've nearly hit the top of our channel there, which was promising a target towards £9.50. In fact, the best case recently was up to £9.80. We found the shares are looking for greater glory, then above 9.80, looking for the upper parallel of that rising trend channel from May, as high as £13, and we'd be looking for that by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay now on the right side of the recent broken resistance from earlier this week, around 8.40, 8.50. So above 8.40 to 8.50, looking for 9.80, and then up to as high as £13 by the end of next month. Try not to look at Audioboom, because it tends to disappoint whenever you look at it, if you look at it too much or give it too much credence. But here we've had decent progress, double RSI rebound above neutral 50, which is a decent signal. We've hit our initial target there at £5, above £5. We're looking for 7.50 by the end of next month. And so far, as some wise person said on X, this has not been the kiss of death. In fact, this looks like the strongest Audioboom's been for a long time, especially above the £5 level, and also given the way that we're in the run up to a golden cross with the 50 and 200-day lines. Probably get that in the next week or two, and as we know already, the run up to a golden cross tends to be the strongest part of the cycle, and that, coupled with the RSI 50 rebounds, makes this look rather good indeed. On to a stock which hopefully will deliver in terms of going up and staying up this time. We obviously had a bit of a false alarm at the end of last year. The current situation at Atlas Metals is a bit weird, in the sense that one would have thought the shares would be able to sustain a move through 40 pence and get up to 70 pence. So far, they've just dithered around the old gap down that we had back there in December. But at least while we're above recent intraday support around 27 pence, looking for 40 and a bit more, perhaps, with further positive news. On to Amazing AI, which, as I tweeted out yesterday, seems to be determined to live up to its name. The Cizzle here, as compared to all the other Bitcoin treasury companies, is that we're not diluting shareholders to death. We're hedged on the downside and geared on the upside. And in terms of the charting at the moment, we've broken through the 50-day line there at 1.3 pence. Above that, looking for the top of the gap there, up to 2.75 pence. Hopefully, as soon as the end of this month. I think there's no reason why the shares shouldn't be able to get up there after the oversubscribed placing that was announced yesterday. But the key here, staying above 1.3 and trying to fill that gap from July towards 2.75 pence. Next up is a stock which I don't think anybody looks at, so hence it is here, which is CPP Group. Here we've had gaps up and down, but the latest situation here is looking decent. On-fill gap to the upside, support above the 50-day line, and further gaps higher this week leaves us looking at the top of the range and the top of the channel there towards £1.80, perhaps by the end of next month, while we're above the 50-day line, rising at £1.28. On to Cizzle, and here it's interesting because we've had a couple of days of sharp price action, and I think there's so far no news from the company, so maybe somebody's guessing that something's going on there. We haven't had an announcement there for basically 3 weeks, so on the basis of the charting, at least, expecting an announcement there soon, above 1.75, looking at the top of the range, up to 2.75 pence by the end of this month, or perhaps on the back of an announcement. On to Alert, which is called Defence Holdings. Here we're toying with the second target there, second recent target of 1.25 above that, looking for the third target as high as 2 pence by the end of this month. Moving along to 80 Mile, and here it's been a decent situation, a bit of a pullback, obviously a bull trap through the 0.71 peak that we had, but at the moment it looks as though the shares Happy to stay above 0.5. That was resistance on the way down. Above that, looking for 0.7, 0.8, hopefully sometime later this month. One of the best calls ever here has been Hemogenyx, and it continues to be the one of the best calls. In fact, you can tell it's one of the best calls because nobody's actually said, Zach, well done or anything else. So, current situation is that we managed to break the previous £9.30 target for the third time now, and look at £12 as a best case scenario target by the end of this month. We've already had our golden cross, and we've already hit about four or five different targets since the end of July when the shares were first highlighted. Another stock that nobody really looks at is Kendrick, but it looks as though we are on our way. Got that typical step progression there, so vertical move, sideways, vertical move, etc. Initial target here, the 200-day line there at 0.5. Above that, looking for an easy 0.8 pence, maybe as soon as the end of this month. Ideally, we stay above that 50-day line. But the 50 and 200-day lines both rising now, so that's equivalent to a golden cross. So looking quite decent there. Hopefully some decent news coming up as well. On to Pensana, which has blown the lights off. An Atherley success story. Here we've got what looks like a mid-move consolidation breakout through the 128 zone. Above that, looking for £1.60 by the end of this month as a best scenario target. You see all the RSI 50 plus rebounds that we've had since the beginning of last month. Fantastic charting situation that has been, and it looks as though there's more to come. I tweeted out about Rome Resources a couple of weeks ago, and the shares actually did rather well after that. Current situation, though, is a little bit of a pullback. Looking for the shares to stay above the resistance on the way down, which was around the 0.36, say 0.35 level. Above that, still looking for up to 0.5 pence plus as soon as the end of this month. But let's see if little pesky selling that we've got today is just a blip on that. No blips for roadside real estate in the sense that we've got that step progression. Decent announcement today as well, disposal news, and looking for 63 pence in coming days while we're above the old resistance 51 pence. And in fact, looking for rather more than just the low 60s. Probably one could add in an upper parallel to that rising trend channel, and that is heading towards the 80 to 85 pence area, which may be a target for October, November time. Key here, though, is that whatever happens, we stay above the 50-day line there at 50 pence. Finishing off with Solvonis, which is one of the more exciting biotech stocks at the moment, I suppose, alongside the situation at Immu Pharma, who I interviewed today. Here we've got support coming in the mid-20s, which is, I suppose, what we would expect. RSI has gone through the neutral 50 level. What we're looking for now is an end of day or end of week close above 0.3 pence to give us a return to the upper 30s over the course of the rest of September. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.